Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Global Muslim community continues celebration of Eid al-Adha. As security concerns persist in Nigeria's north, the government considers fencing borders in Lake Chad area. Chadian president orders suspension of visas to U.S. citizens as reprisal for Donald Trump's travel ban. Details to come your way shortly. We begin with the Eid al-Adha celebrations. It is day two of the Salah celebration as the Muslim faithful continue with the Eid al-Adha festivities across the world. This is one of the most important festivals in the Muslim calendar. The festival remembers the Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his son when God ordered him to do so. In Lagos, Muslim faithful are still in a celebratory mood as some of them have visited recreational centers across the city to spend time with family, friends and loved ones. Despite the low turnout due to the country's economic situation, some remained determined to make this year's celebration a memorable one. News Central's Omolola Lolade visited one of the recreational centers in Lagos to find out how Muslims are celebrating with their loved ones.
JJT, by one of the parks in Lagos, where, some Muslim faithfuls are here to celebrate. Not just Muslims, just people basically are here to celebrate, but majorly Muslims are focused on Eid celebration. But getting to this place, the roads were free, and then, you can tell that the celebration is rather a solemn one, not as it used to be.
Despite the country's economic situation, Muslim faithfuls across Nigeria's commercial city came out in their Eid attires in continuation of this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration with family, friends and loved ones. While families stay back home to slaughter rams, cows and other animals as required by Muslims on the first day of the celebration. These Muslim faithfuls believe creating memories with loved ones outside of the home during festivities such as this is also important.
It has been interesting and fun. Alhamdulillah for God for making us witness this. And we are happy, and that's why we are here today. We are here to come and celebrate more. Celebrate among my mates, just to make it more fun.
I've been around my family, it's been fun, it's been very good. It's been interesting, really. I had to have fun, play games, make memories, take pictures, and all of that.
The celebration was very fun, very okay, very nice. I'm here to have fun with my friends, my sisters, my kids. Salah celebration.
For some, the country's inflation rate and high cost of living may have affected their initial plans to celebrate in an elaborate way.
Everybody in Nigeria, we know how something is cost by this time. Everything is costly. Even though the ram where you are buying like 80 to 100 before, we are buying 200,000, 250. So everything is cost. So we bet. No matter condition, we have to celebrate our Eid al-Kabir because it comes once in a year. So we thank Almighty Allah.
I'm just here with my family to make my family happy because as we do not have money to kill them, then we can come here and do some small things, joke with them, and we go back. It affects my celebration because what I plan to buy for my family, I don't have money to do it. Then the little money I have, I just say that I should use it to make them happy.
Many Muslim faithfuls appreciate God for witnessing these year's Eid al-Kabir celebrations, regardless of the country's economic situation. They are, however, hopeful things will get better as they look forward to next year's celebration. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
In Edo State, Muslim faithful paid an annual Salah visit to the state governor, Senator Monday Okpewolo. This is in continued drive to promote peaceful coexistence in the state. News Central's Israel Iferobo has more.
The Muslim community in Edo State paid a visit to the state's governor, Senator Monday Okpewolo, on the occasion of the Eid al-Adha. The team, led by the chief imam of Benin Central Mosque, Abdul Fatai Enabulele, spoke on the essence of the festival.
Senator Monday Okpewolo, ably represented here by his deputy, Right Honorable Denis Idahosa. It is my singular honor and privilege that I am addressing you on behalf of the Muslim communities on this joyous and glamorous occasion of the celebration of the Festival of Sacrifice, otherwise known as Eid al-Kabir Festival. As we celebrate the Festival of Sacrifice, it is an opportunity for all Muslims and Nigerians in general to re-examine ourselves and gauge our level of commitment to Almighty God.
The governor, represented by his deputy, Denis Idahosa, called on the residents of the state to renew the commitment that binds them as one people.
Let us continue to pray for peace and prosperity of our dear state. Let us strive at all times to build a community that is inclusive, peaceful, tolerant, and respectful of all faiths, culture, while promoting dignity and harmony.
The coordinator of the Office of the First Lady, Edesili Akwebolo Anani, admonished them on love.
I want to urge all of us to show love to one another, be kind and generous to one another, share whatever you have with one another. The greatest gift we can give to anybody is love.
Some Muslim faithful spoke on the significance of the day.
Whenever a Muslim faithful is promised anything by Allah always fulfill it.
Though the tongue and tribe differ, we are one Nigeria. We must pray, we must fight, we must tell God that the direction of this country should be positive.
With the Eid al-Adha celebration still in the air, it is hoped that the lessons from the Festival of Sacrifice will dwell with the worshippers of Allah and the nation. In Edo State, for News Central, Israel, Ifirobo.
It's a very troubling story. Dozens of women from the Agbarho community in Ugeli North local government area reportedly took to the streets to protest the disappearance of at least 26 children in the area. The protesting women, dressed in black, marched through major streets in Agbarho, chanting and waving placards with inscriptions such as "Stop stealing our children," "Where are our kids?" and "We want justice." Over the past 8 months, 26 children, mostly between the ages of 3 and 8, have gone missing under mysterious circumstances. And now we have our correspondent, Austin Azu, has been monitoring the situation. He'll be bringing us updates. Austin, good evening to you. Tell us more about this troubling story.
Good evening. Of course, what we have now confirmed is that the document for the residents of Agbarho and Agbarho, and not only referred to Agbarho, some parts of the state have been experiencing these insecurity challenges. For this time around, all fingers from Agbarho houses are pointing towards suspected ritualists who are involved in these heinous crimes against the people. And of course, from what we've gathered so far, that the disappearances of these children ranges from the fact that sometimes they will have their peers together playing, and most of them will not return back, and some of them going to school they might not return back, and so on and so forth. This has created a lot of tension, a lot of concern to the residents of Agbarho and environment. Obviously, of course, you know, the heart of women and mothers, so they could no longer take this, so hence they came out to the streets to protest, and they protested around the community, and they actually ended up at the palace of the traditional ruler, where the traditional ruler actually condemned what is happening in the kingdom, and of course within the area. We only gathered that a few days ago, or a few hours ago, the council chairman actually visited the communities to ascertain what has happened so far. And don't forget too well that Africa is still boiling, ranging from the insecurity challenges that are still ravaging the state. Despite the fact that the governor has had a security meeting within the week, and where he said that of course he's going to deploy technology to curb this instant herdsmen and kidnapping across the state. We are still experiencing these kinds of untold stories within our communities. Of course, if the women can come out to protest in this manner, you quite agree with me that yes, the people are no longer safe. Now, whose child is going to be next is a question that everyone is asking in Agbarho. And of course, the police, of course, they have their own duty to ensure they are able to protect lives and property. Of course, government has its own functional duty enshrined in Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution as amended to guarantee the welfare and security of its citizens. So the people of Agbarho and residents of Delta State are looking up to the state government to ensure that the life and property of residents of the state is well secured and guaranteed. We are no longer talking about farmers who can no longer go to their farms. We are no longer talking about some individuals who have abandoned their homes because of these suspected monsters that have taken over most parts of the state. So it's really a serious concern for everyone here in the state, and it's hope and believed that in the coming days, the states and the residents of the state will start seeing results of what the police have actually pledged to do. The police have developed particularly to Abraka and environs. Of course, a few days ago, we saw that there was a wide jubilation in Abraka over the killings of 4 suspected kidnappers who were involved in the heinous crimes in Abraka and environs. Some people have suggested that over from those Abraka houses might be the one that have gone as Agbarho and environs. And we only saw a viral video about 2 weeks ago thereabout, whereby the railway, what was used in constructing the railway was vandalized. So, and within that railway houses, within that railway area, that was actually where the DPO from Agbarho Division was killed about 6 months ago. So obviously, Agbarho has been on the center stage in the past few months involved in this kind of heinous crimes against the residents of Agbarho. It calls for concerns that well-meaning individuals and residents of Agbarho are calling for proper investigation and calling on the state government to come to their aid so that they will be able to sleep with their 2 eyes closed henceforth, because obviously what they said that they're no longer safe in their own community and they can no longer sleep with their 2 eyes closed. So it's a serious concern that authorities need to be into it.
So, Austin, 2 days ago, I had a brief chat with the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity in Edo State, and he vehemently denied any sort of rising tensions or insecurity issues in Edo State. So, are we looking at an escalation of security crisis in Edo right now?
Well, of course, you know that Edo and Delta shares a common boundary, and there's a particular place in Abraka, and that place from there down to Obe, that place is there's a big forest, and that forest, from those who have fallen victims of these kidnappers, have come out to cry out loud that that forest reserve has become a death trap, has become a kidnapper's den, and people who go there for farming can no longer go there. Even the hunters. And from what we gather, that forest, even as the sun is shining, cannot kiss the soil. So obviously the place is thick, and people cannot have a free farming activities within those areas. So it's left for both governments, Delta government and that of those governments, to come together to deploy a tactical team to curb that particular forest. That forest has claimed a lot of lives. Even those who are on a transit end up finding themselves in that forest. And most of them don't come back alive, from the stories we gather from those who have survived these kidnappers.
Okay, so what about community vigilantes? Do we have them in Delta State?
Yes, the community vigilante, they are working hand in hand with the local hunters. The local hunters, we are actually the one who first put a name to ensure that those suspected kidnappers who retaliated in Gondwell were brought down in Abraka. But however, we have had a lot of complaints from these local vigilantes, particularly the hunters, that they are not well funded. Because of course, they need some ammunition for them to confront these monsters. Of course, there's no gainsaying the fact that most of these monsters, the suspected men and the kids, the kind of ammunition they use are well sophisticated enough. Of course, we have seen some of them during police parade, whereby the police display their achievements. So what the suspected killer headsmen are using and the kidnappers they are using are far more beyond what the local vigilantes and that of the hunters are using. So hence they are calling for more funds, they are calling for logistics, they are calling for mobility, they are calling for reinforcements. They need some kind of stipends. And there was a local government a council chairman, so he has left office. He confirmed to us that while he was in office, he was paying those hunters to go to the forest to do cleansing. And not only that, and within that period, they were able to record some farm produce, and harvest was quite encouraging. But since he left office, according to him, that the local government chairman has covered from him has failed to comply with this. So hence, those local vigilantes and hunters, they are no longer going to the farms to go and protect those farmers. And we are no longer going to those bushes, those forests to go and chase away those criminals. Because if those criminals have a one-on-one confrontation with these hunters, we have seen some achievements that the hunters were able to, dissuade them and, however, dislodge them from those areas. But since they are no longer being effective, being reinforced, and being given the necessary tools, they are now relaxing at home. Then the suspected killer headsmen and the kidnappers have taken over those forests. And most of our forests, as we speak now, no one can access them. No one can even go to their farms. So it means that there's going to be a hunger strike. There's going to be food insecurity in the land. Delta State, apart from being oil producing state, is fully contributing to the food basket of the nation. Places like Agbarho in the South, places like Igbodo in the Northeast, places like Jesse in Ethiopia West, and other places. These are the places that are known for agriculture. They are very good with what they are doing, and they have been contributing to the food basket of the nation. But with the rising insecurity rates we have experienced in the states, most of the farmers, they can no longer go to the farms. We introduced the movie of Jesse recently, where he talked so much about what his kingdom has turned into. All of them, they are calling on the federal government and the state government to come to their aid.
Okay.
Because farmers cannot go to their farms. Even those who have big buildings, they can no longer go to most of their buildings because kidnappers have taken over their buildings. Killer headsmen are now waiting for them to come, for them to be picked away and take it into the forest for them to collect their ransom.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this robust information with us. We hope the Delta State government will take decisive action to deal with all these criminals and the kidnappings in that particular area. Thank you so much. We'll, of course, track back with you to get more details as regards this as it continues to unfold. Alhassan, thank you so much for talking to us. Now, the Kaduna State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has condemned the recent spate of bandit attacks in parts of the state as they described the developments as tragic. So we'll share more details of this with you after this short timeout. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us. Before we take you to Kaduna State, let's quickly talk to our correspondent in Benue State, Sagir Ibrahim, who has been having a swell time celebrating the Eid festivities. And of course, you can see him on the screen right there. Sagir, I want to believe that you're having a fun time of your life. Tell us how people are enjoying this festive period.
Well, good evening, Lekon. Good evening to our dear viewers. Indeed, interesting times here in Benue State. It's just yesterday that I was in Suleja, Niger State, giving you the update of how the Salah festivities is going on. And here I am in Makurdi, the state capital of Benue State, the food basket of the nation. I have with me here Abdul and Nana. They are currently enjoying their time here at the merry-go-round. However, there are other activities that are going on here. I'm here with Abdul also. It seems Abdul wants to speak with me. Abdul, how are you? Are you enjoying yourself, Abdul Samad? Yes. You're enjoying yourself. Well, Abdul Samad is not the only kid that's enjoying himself here. We've also got kids here that are playing on the trampoline. Like I said, it's a swell time. Away from home, trying the best that they can to relieve that stress. Of course, you know, it's been such a long time working in school and putting all of those hard work, but then they are here in the spirit of the Salah festivities, celebrating as the case may be. And of course, these are not the only children having fun here. We also have children on this other side of the divide who are enjoying a swell time also on the swing. But also we have an adult here, their father, Mr. Tijani, who I'll also be speaking with this evening. Good evening, Mr. Tijani.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. So, of course, on the eve of the Eid festivities, we see children are here, and we also see parents here. I want you to tell us how the celebration has been over the course of the last 24 hours.
It's been so wonderful. It's been a great experience. It's a lovable place. I'm actually not here. I've been in Calabar for a very long time. I came here to spend the Salah celebration with my family. And I must confess, Benue, Makurdi precisely, is an amazing place. You have beautiful people here, very accommodating.
Okay, but then how would you respond to things like, of course, we know Benue State has not been in the news for some of the best reasons over the course of the last few weeks, if not months. Do you think the Salah celebration offers residents here another opportunity to unwind? I mean, it's been killings here and there, but then here is the Salah, here is the Eid festivities and celebration. Do you think it gives them a...
When you hear about killings, I'm very familiar with the news and all of that. It's always at the outskirts, the villages and all, but the main city, there's nothing happening here. It's all about celebration. We went to Eid yesterday, of course, over 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, and nothing happened. It's been celebration. To me, I would say the city of Makurdi is actually one of the best places you can actually celebrate Salah, regardless of what you hear in the news. You know? Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Tijani has given us his own take on the celebration here in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. It's over to you in the studio, Lekon, because as for me, right after this live update, of course, I'll be taking my time with the children here. I must say there's also a swimming pool here somewhere. So maybe I'll be taking my time in the water and, of course, you know, having a good time as well. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you so much, Agir Ibrahim. I must say it's sort of quite nostalgic for you having to see kids play around there. Thank you so much for sharing the updates with us anyway. We hope to get more details from you as you continue to whine and unwind with the kids right there. Thank you. And now we take you to Kaduna State to talk about security. Of course, the Kaduna State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has condemned the recent spate of bandit attacks in parts of the state, as they describe the development as tragic and a failure of governance. The party said attacks in Kagara and Ugom communities located in Giwa and Kajuru local government areas left 2 persons dead and several others injured between June 4 and 6, 2025. In a statement issued on Saturday and signed by the Kaduna PDP chairman, Edward Masha, the party expressed a deep sorrow over the loss of lives and the trauma inflicted on affected families. The victims were identified as Salisu Aminu and Stephen Alhassan, and they were both described as respected community members. And as part of efforts to curb cross-border terrorism, banditry and arms smuggling, the federal government is considering the construction of physical barriers along Nigeria's porous borders. Chief Whip of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Mohammed Tahir Munguno, made this known during his visit to Marte in the fringes of the Lake Chad while fielding questions from News Central. Omar Karawa completes the story.
It was a lot of troubles, and it took hard-earned efforts spanning over a decade to achieve peace across different communities in the Lake Chad. While Nigeria's borders span nearly 2,000 kilometers with Cameroon, the worst-affected region, plus 1,500 kilometers with Niger, around 85 kilometers with Chad, and a smaller front with Benin Republic, security analysts have long identified these regions as a weak link in Nigeria's fight against insecurity.
I very much agree with the fact that the Nigerian border is very porous and there is a need to fence the border. But it's a very expensive border, expensive venture, having regard to the fact that our border between our neighboring countries runs into thousands of kilometers. So it's need a huge investment. If the resources are there to do it, it's a welcome development. But the resources to do that is very scarce, but it's a welcome development. We will look at it. If the necessary resources are there, Since the protection of lives and property of the people is the primary purpose of government, the National Assembly would deploy the necessary resources in order to achieve it, with a proviso that if adequate resources are there.
The argument has been that a better control of movement across border by security forces will reduce influx of terrorists.
To some people, it might seem as if it is impossible, but I can tell you there are countries that are fenced over 1,500 kilometers stretch. And it is when you do that, because when you notice that you have a porous area that is giving you consistent problem, find a final solution to it. So border management will be good. Fencing those locations, we can start gradually. It doesn't have to be one day. If we're able to do the census, capture every Nigerian in the world, it will give us a strong database for us to be able to regulate who comes in and who doesn't come in.
For the newly reclaimed Marte community in the fringes of the Lake Chad, it is a sigh of relief.
Alhamdulillah,
the battle to maintain peace in the Lake Chad is continuing, and the civilian JTF, hunters, vigilantes, and the military, among other security personnel, have assured to ensure that peace and stability is maintained in Marte. From Marte for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Now, as revelers anticipate the 2025 Ojudioba Festival in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, final touches have been made for one of Nigeria's most iconic cultural celebrations. Known for its rich display of tradition, vibrant regalia and horse riding pageantry, the event draws thousands of guests from across the country and beyond. As the town prepares to host dignitaries, tourists and indigents returning home, expectations are high for a spectacle that blends heritage with economic opportunity. One of the festival's most recognizable figures, Farouk Oriagba, shares what to expect this year.
Now, in terms of expectations, I know the expectations are high. And as I said to you earlier on, the pressure's on. I'm a bit nervous. But it's only human to be nervous. The important thing is I keep my feet 10 toes down, firmly on the floor, be myself. What people are expecting to see is me being myself, and I intend to do that. I'll jazz it up a little bit tomorrow. Last year I was not prepared. This time I'm prepared small, and I don't want to let people down. So I think social media, and let me just say this: if you've driven around Ijebu-Ode now, the number of billboards, the number of sponsorships that I even had people offering me sponsorship on Friday. I'm like, no, guys, I'm Thursday. I'm good. Go to, well, have you spoken to this person? No. Talk to that person. Next minute, Agbarho, I got sponsorship. Good. It's not about me. I've pushed sponsors to other families. I've pushed sponsors to other members of my family. It's not about me. Ojudioba is not about an individual. It's about your cultural age grade and family. So that's me trying to push pressure. That's right. But expectations, I think you can expect a better turnout, better delivery from everybody, but from myself, I won't disappoint. There's going to be a lot of tattoos, from what I hear. There's going to be a lot of cigars, but I was the first. But anyway, on myself, I'm not standing still. I think, I may not be, the explosion may not be as big as last year, but I think all things being equal, most of the expectation will be justified and will be fulfilled. I will not disappoint, by God's grace.
Well, away from that, the people of Kantu community in Bori Southwest local government area of Delta State have publicly declared their Ijaw origin, distinguishing themselves from Itsekiri. The need to define their ancestry and origin stems from misrepresentation and misconceptions that the Kantu community is an Itsekiri enclave. During a press briefing at the Kantu Town Hall, the traditional ruler and community leaders of Kantu declared their allegiance to the rulership of the Pere of Baramatu Kingdom. News Central's Biola Festus tells us more.
Though one of the first communities in Oporoza, Kantu, an oil-producing community, has been misconstrued to be of a Shekiri bloodline, a situation that has confused Kantu's identity for decades. To lay the matter to rest once and for all, leaders of the Kantu community are taking the initiative to define their origin themselves. In affirming their true roots, they revealed that their ancestor is Owezibiri, thereby tracing their lineage to the Gbaramatu kingdom.
Kantu is an Ijaw community having an ancestral affinity with Gbaramatu kingdom in Warri Southwest local government area, Delta State, and we continue to remain in the traditional institution of Gbaramatu kingdom. We hereby pledge our loyalty and allegiance to His Royal Majesty Oboro Gbara Aketekwe Agadagba, the Pere of ancient Gbaramatu kingdom.
As far as we're from Gbaramatu, the Kantu community is from Gbaramatu, and the Kantu land is from Gbaramatu.
According to oral history and as affirmed by Kantu leaders, the Kantu community traces its ancestry to Omadino, a typical Ijaw entity. Although descendants have affiliations with neighboring entities, they retain a patriarchal system as imbued by the African tradition.
Kantu community is founded by Owezibiri, and it belongs to Gbaramatu kingdom. That is how we are born. We know it. And as far as I'm concerned, I want peace for this community. I am the Amakosu of today, by the grace of God and Almighty, and the ancestors of this Gbaramatu kingdom.
There are various speculations and fictitious talks from people that the Kantu is a community that belongs to the people of Ishekiri or belongs to the kingdom of Warri. We are here in Kantu community of Gbaramatu kingdom. Any other speculation you are getting from anywhere, they are all fake.
We are making this press conference to enable the world know that these people are Ijaw people. And all the communities around this country are Ijaw people. And so, other Ijaw nationalities should look them as Ijaws in Gbaramatu kingdom.
To authenticate the identity of the Kantu people as Ijaws, Gbaramatu kingdom, the headquarters of the Ijaw people in Delta State, under the leadership of His Majesty Oboro Gbara II, Aketekpe Agadagba, proclaimed Kantu as one of its subjects through a special delegation.
They want to finally put this issue of where they belong to rest. And so our presence here is to witness and also to affirm that they are indeed children of Gbaramatu kingdom, with the authority given to this entourage by Oboro Gbara II, the Pere of Gbaramatu kingdom, will receive you wholeheartedly.
This historic declaration and affirmation is anticipated to finally resolve the long-standing questions surrounding the Kantu people's origins. In Warri Southwest area of Delta States for News Central, Biola Festus.
Chadian President Idris Itno has ordered the suspension of visas to U.S. citizens as reprisal for a travel ban. The Central African country was one of 12 nations affected by U.S. President Donald Trump's travel ban order. Trump said the ban was in the interest of national security. With 7 of the 12 countries on the list, Africa is the continent worst hit by Trump's travel ban. The affected countries include Afghanistan, Chad, Congo, Yemen, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Sudan, Myanmar, Somalia, Sudan, Libya, and Equatorial Guinea. The ban also imposed heightened restrictions on people from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. To discuss this development, we're joined by a global affairs analyst, Dr. Colin Siweke. Also joining us is a former ECOWAS diplomat, but then maybe we'll be able to have the other guests later on to discuss this. Let me start by talking to Dr. Colin Siweke. Now, Trump said the ban was needed to protect the U.S. against foreign terrorists and other security threats. But then is Idris Itno's retaliatory ban the best of actions now?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lekon, for having me. I will start with Donald Trump. He may have advanced a reason, but he also advanced some reasons for, taking some actions against Canada in respect of tariff. He tied it to, drug peddling, coming into the United States through Canada. Whereas evidence actually showed that, there was a decline in drug trafficking in that axis. So, if you juxtapose that to the Chadian situation, or, the 7 African countries affected, yes, he gave a reason, but as a matter of fact, you need to critically assess those reasons to actually determine whether or not, those were the actual reason. In the case of Chad, let us remember Lekon, in 2017, there was a row. And, observers actually noted that, Chad's refusal to actually donate oil to the United States of America is a grudge that Donald Trump continues to hold against the country up until now, and that is the reason that he's doing what he's doing now. I mean, it is understandable that, the Chadian, president is tempted to retaliate. But like you asked, is that going to be, the best solution to the problem? No, I don't think so. But on the other hand, there are analysts who feel that it is important to match Donald Trump fire to fire, and then do what he does, which is settle down and then begin to negotiate. So, seen from that perspective, it may well be that his retaliation, that of the president of Chad, is on point. It's not targeted, but generally speaking, Lekon, I believe that a measured, approach, a strategic one, is much more responsible, through diplomatic channels, through regional coalition, through public diplomacy. Those are the sort of approaches that will ultimately work. But maybe it is not a bad idea that he has fired back while the negotiations then, commence.
It's quite hard to tell if the U.S. will be willing to sit down at a table to have some sort of negotiation with Chad. But then, looking at the impact, don't you think this would hurt Chad more in terms of investments, businesses, even the economy, education, health, tourism, more than it would hurt the U.S.?
Well, obviously, there is no doubt, about the fact that, this will hurt Chad more because there are more Chadians that are actually seeking to go to the United States, than the other way around. But we cannot totally downplay, the significance of Chad to the United States, particularly on security matters. But of course, we do know that in Donald Trump, we have a president that actually doesn't, think in such a strategic manner. But as a matter of fact, Chad has proven to be an important ally in, fighting terrorism, curbing the menace of Boko Haram in that region. And terrorism, as a matter of fact, is, a global issue. You cannot reasonably, confine it to a particular region and say, okay, that's a problem far from my bed. No, that's not the way it works. So while Chad will indeed, suffer the repercussion more, America also has one thing or the other to worry about, because Chad could actually be thinking as well, AGOA is on the table. United States, international development aid has already been stopped. What else have we got to lose? These are the sort of, concerns and conversations that might be ongoing in the State House of Chad that informed their retaliatory disposition.
All right, well, some people will say that even U.S. itself is not an entirely safe state. I mean, with issues around gun control and other criminal activities in the country, and having to put that blame of insecurity on other countries. I don't know if that is some sort of hypocrisy that you see on the part of the president, Donald Trump.
In more ways than one, yes, it is part of that hypocrisy. But you see, Trump will justify, the proliferation of weapons in the United States to other countries. He will say that some of those problems were imported from some of these countries that he has named. Of course, evidence on the ground proves it, to actually be very thin. Evidence is thin on that, or maybe even flatly contestable. America is not really completely safe. There are things about America that people have to worry about. Muslim countries, for instance, are not entirely happy with, the liberalism in America that they believe is actually infiltrating their, societies, and they're actually corrupting, their society away from what it is meant to be. So the worries, the blame can go round, but it is only through diplomatic negotiations and, conversations that, you can surmount all of these challenges.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Collins Nweke, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We quickly go on a short break. When we return, we'll bring you the rest of the stories. Stay with us. In sports, Cristiano Ronaldo has confirmed he will not feature in this month's FIFA Club World Cup, despite receiving offers from teams competing in the tournament. The 40-year-old's contract with Saudi club Al Nassr ends in June, prompting speculation about a potential move after he hinted at a chapter ending on social media. While FIFA President Gianni Infantino previously floated the idea of Ronaldo joining a Club World Cup side, the Portugal captain has decided against participating. Ronaldo said some offers made sense, but he could not accept every opportunity. Although his future remains uncertain, sources close to Al Nassr also are optimistic about a contract extension. Ronaldo has scored 99 goals in 111 appearances for Al Nassr and recently led Portugal to the Nations League final. And that's all at this hour, but then we look at our top stories before we go. Global Muslim community has continued celebration of Eid al-Adha. As security concerns persist in Nigeria's north, government is considering fencing borders in Lake Chad area. We also told you that Chadian president has ordered suspension of visas to U.S. citizens as reprisal for Donald Trump's travel ban. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. While you do that, follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times 274, Arvo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onabanjo.